Surangama Sutra. Ananda, if now you wish your seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing to accord with the Tathagata's permanence, bliss, true self, and purity, you should first discern the root of birth and death and rely upon the perfectly clear nature that neither arises nor ceases. Use this clarity to turn back the false and illusory arising and ceasing, subdue them, and return to the original awareness. Take this original luminous awareness, whose nature is beyond birth and death, as the causal ground mind, and only then can you perfect the fruition of realization. The wordings are very difficult to explain, so let's not look at the words. Sakyamuni Buddha told Ananda, if you want to attain Tathagata's Buddhanature or wondrous, luminous, marvelous, true mind, how do you start the cultivation? You cannot use the mind of arising and ceasing to cultivate. You need to use the mind of non-arising and non-ceasing as the cause in order to be able to match with Tathagata's wondrous, luminous, true mind. So it can be explained simply like that. But if you use your seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing to cultivate spiritually, those are just external appearances. What you see, what you hear, what you feel, those are called the seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing. And those are not real because they arise and they cease. So the mind that is arising and ceasing to cultivate spiritually will not bring you to witness the Tathagata's wondrous, luminous, true mind. You have to use the mind of non-arising and non-ceasing as the cause of your spiritual cultivation in order to comply with the Tathagata's wondrous, luminous, true mind. That's the key point. Ananda, Venerable, now if you use what you see, hear, feel, or know to accord to the Tathagata's four merits, which are called permanence, bliss, true self, and purity, which is in the Hiking Avalokitesvara Sutra. The true self, permanent, blissful, and pure. Then you should choose the non-arising and non-ceasing original Buddha nature to turn back the false and illusory arising and ceasing. So to return to the original wondrous, luminous, true mind. Take this original luminous awareness, whose nature is beyond birth and death, as the causal ground mind, in order to have attainments in your spiritual cultivation and to attain the wondrous, luminous, true mind. So the causal ground is what you use in your spiritual cultivation, and then to reach fruition in the resultant ground, you need to observe that everything in this world is illusory and false, and then you turn back to recognize your own wondrous, luminous, true mind and use that as the cause to cultivate spiritually in order to attain the Tathagata's wondrous, luminous, true mind or Buddha nature. Only spoken this way that it can be understood. If you use the worldly Dharma to cultivate spiritually, you will not be able to attain the Tathagata's wondrous, luminous, true mind because those cultivations are superficial. That's the meaning of this part. So turning back and returning to the origin. You use this cause to cultivate the fruition from the causal ground to the resultant ground. And this way, you would be able to comply or to accord with the Tathagata's wondrous, luminous, true mind. So you cannot use anything illusory and false to cultivate spiritually, which will not make you see your own Buddha nature. How can we use an analogy? Sakyamuni Buddha did give an analogy, however, we'll talk about that later. Generally speaking, Zen Buddhism or many different schools of Buddhism advocates meditation. Why should one meditate? It's to eliminate your wandering thoughts. You do have these thoughts. As soon as you sit quietly, you would start having all kinds of thoughts. When you sit in meditation and it's too quiet, you fall asleep. But when you think, then you have all kinds of wandering thoughts. So what should you do? It should be in between, falling asleep and having all kinds of running thoughts. That's called samadhi. In practicing meditation, first you have all kinds of running thoughts. You sit there, but you think your mind travels all over the place. And if you don't think anything and nothing on your mind, nothing bothers you, you fall asleep and you don't know. You're seeing it. When you wake up, your head is nodding. A true samadhi is away from running thoughts, because all those random thoughts are illusory and false. But you should not fall asleep either. If you fall asleep, that's not meditation. Samadhi is in between running thoughts and falling asleep. So we should train in meditation. Meditation is not easy. You cannot fall asleep and you cannot have running thoughts or wandering thoughts. You should not let your thoughts run wild, but you can't fall asleep either. And at such a time, you would radiate light. If you have all kinds of thoughts, all kinds of random thoughts, you think this and you think that, your mind is wandering around, that's random thoughts. Let me tell you, Sakyamuni Buddha is also called the benevolent one and the pure one. Remember, there is a statement, compassion is Avalokitesvara. Joy and equanimity is Mahaprapta. The benevolent one, Sakyamuni Buddha. And equality and great mind, that's Amitabha Buddha. Why is Avalokitesvara called Avalokitesvara? Because he's compassionate towards sentient beings. So loving kindness and compassion is Avalokitesvara. And joy and equanimity, to do them with joy and equality toward friends and foes. Like I cannot especially like someone or despise someone. So equality between people you like and dislike, they're all equal. And that's Mahastama Prapta Bodhisattva. That's how Mahastama Prapta Bodhisattva is. Permanence, bliss, true self, and purity. So the one that can be pure without any random thoughts, that's Sakyamuni Buddha, the pure one. Amitabha Buddha delivers sentient beings equally and with straight mind to the Pure Land. If you use two characters to describe them, loving kindness and compassion, Kuan Yin. Joy and equanimity, Mahastama Prapta. The pure one, the one able to be pure, Sakyamuni Buddha. Equality, straight equality, Amitabha Buddha. So when you heard that, you have some understanding, you can feel it. So Sakyamuni Buddha teaches us to be pure. Most people have afflictions because you have too much thoughts, you overthink. That's why you're afflicted. Humans have afflictions. You need to transform the afflictions to become pure. You have to purify the afflictions. That's the teaching of Sakyamuni Buddha. Once you eliminate your afflictions, you are permanently blissful. So Tathagata has 4 virtues: permanence, bliss, true self, and purity. Eternally blissful. And self, that refers to the Buddha or Tathagata. And purity, the Tathagata himself is pure. Permanence, bliss, true self, and purity. You would chant this every time you recite the High King Kuan Yin Sutra. Permanence, bliss, true self, and purity, and affinity with the Buddha Dharma. So these 4 merits of the Tathagata. Therefore, anything that arises and ceases cannot be relied upon. Afflictions rises and ceases. Cause should be not rising and non-ceasing. So when you cultivate spiritually at the causal ground, it has to be non-arising and non-ceasing. But all phenomena in this world are arising and ceasing. Houses, they are new houses, they are old houses, and later on they are demolished. And for cars, they are new cars, old cars, and then they are broken down. So they all have lifespan. The great earths and the oceans and the plants and living beings, they all have lifespan, long and short. They say the turtle has the longest lifespan. So our happy birthday wishes would say, live longer than the turtle. How many years does a turtle live to? 400 years. Because they don't move much. They're self-purity, so they can live to be 400 years old. Rabbits move so much, so how long do they live to? 2 to 3 years. Why do they die so fast? Because they move so fast, so they have short lifespan. Oh, how come the Venerable Elder Sui Yin lived to be 120 years? Because he could meditate. He could be quiet and pure, so he could live to be 120. But we move fast, so we die early. And look at the turtles. They don't move. They just stay there. It's okay. They don't move all day long. They're meditating. Therefore, turtles live to be a long life. Turtles live a long life, and rabbits live a short life. Because rabbits are moving about so much. But humans cannot stay inactive totally. You need to exercise and be active. So you need to combine or balance activity and inactivity. You need to move at the same time. You also need to quiet down in order to be healthy.